Good morning. It's Monday morning. Hey, I got my Hoovian shirt on. Yay. So, this morning, I want to talk to you guys about poetry. And the reason that I want to talk about poetry today is because I've been really poetry oriented. And I don't know why. Maybe because, like I'm in love and having a great time. But regardless, there is currently a poetry contest going on in the Monadnock region of New Hampshire. It's called Poems of New Hampshire, and I will post a link to it later on. But basically, the theme is New Hampshire, past, present, future, or fantasy, or combination. You can enter up to 3 poems per person, and it's anyone living in, visiting, or intrigued by New Hampshire may enter by writing and submitting up to 3 original unpublished poems for free. And there's info on how to email it in, and they must be at least 3 lines and no more than 28 lines. Form is open. You can go as far as the E.E. Cummings or be as formal as you like. One of the reasons that I like doing poetry occasionally is that it makes my brain work differently than when I'm writing dialogue or nonfiction. Because poetry is kind of this blend. You're writing about things and they're not necessarily fiction, but it's not necessarily true. Poetry is its own form of art. And so when you get the chance to actually sit down and put yourself in the position of writing types of poetry, you rewire your brain a little bit. And so then when you go back to writing other things, I think sometimes it actually kind of makes my brain function better. It's like a reboot. And rebooting your brain is a great thing. So I'm actually going to submit some poetry to this, and not stuff that I've written before, even though I have a whole host of stuff that's never been published. Honestly, a lot of that stuff hasn't been published because it really doesn't deserve to be published. I'm not really a poet. But that said, it's good to stretch my personal creative legs, if you will, and reach out and try and do something a little different that I don't do all the time. And because I'm going to be switching tracks, I originally was going to use this November NaNoWriMo to write the third of the Alexandra Taylor novels. And I'm not going to be doing that. She might come later in the year. I'm not sure. She might be put off for a year. Second book is still coming out. It's going to be September. I got behind in things. That's my fault. Mea culpa. But that is due out. It will be out in September. But the third book will probably not be out for another year. I'm going to be working on my reenactors cookbook. This has become a priority for a number of reasons. One, because my brain won't leave me alone. But the other reason is that when we worked the New Hampshire Ren Fair and we worked the Massachusetts Ren Fair, and when everywhere we're going, people love our displays. They love to come in and interact with us and ask us questions. Do we really eat the food? Do we cook over the fires? Why do we do this? All these things are really important. And then they want to buy the book. And we don't have a book. So I need to make the book. So that's what I'm going to do. So this November, you're going to get the writing will not be fiction. It will be the reenactors cookbook, and that's going to be finished. And if I'm really lucky, that's a whole different editing process. With fiction, you have to go through and rewrite scenes and things like that. With nonfiction, you're looking for the facts and stuff. This book is very heavy on research because I want some of it's going to be not historically accurate. Okay, there are foods that we use today that were not available in the Middle Ages, and vice versa. There are spices and combinations that were used on a regular basis back then that the palate today is really unimpressed with. And there's a whole bunch of information about the periods that certain foods come from and how they were cooked at the time and how we approximate that today. All of that stuff has to be meticulously researched and footnoted. And yes, I realize that not everybody expects to have a footnote section in the back of their cookbook, but that's not me. Okay, when you buy my cookbook, you're going to get a whole bunch of historical crap along with it. Deal. I don't care. but the recipes are going to be good. They're going to be the recipes that people have really enjoyed. There's a veggie pottage that um, I had. So I have all of the recipes laid out, but I had like veggie pottage here and soup here, and I hadn't kind of filled in some of the details. And this summer, working the Ren fairs and working at and doing some SCA stuff, we tried a couple of new recipes that were, I can't even. They were so good. Mistress Leary's steak and ale pie will be in the cookbook with her permission because it's just over the top delicious goodness. The stuffed chicken that she did with figs and apples, that was just delish. Um, you'll get the pork and apple recipe that we created for last year's Harper's feast, and a few others. Nothing in the cookbook is going to be really difficult. Even novice chefs should be able to put this stuff together. The details are going to be meticulous. There will be some photography, but not a lot. What's in there will be black and white because I'm trying to keep the cost of the cookbook down. I understand that Pioneer Woman can go out and make a beautiful, glossy paged color cookbook with photos on every page, and y'all will drop $50 without breaking a sweat. Nobody's going to be doing that for me, at least not to start. So this one is going to be black and white. The original is going to be soft cover. Um, it'll be in a slightly larger format than my fictional books because I think that translates better to cooking and getting all of the recipes on the page in the right way. But essentially, it's going to be in that soft cover format to make it affordable so that people can buy it, enjoy it, and start using it. If it's popular enough and y'all buy it and I make a ton of money on it and I can put that money back into the book, at that point, I will consider doing a hardcover, perhaps with some internal color pages. We'll have to see how that goes. But at the moment, I'm just focused on getting it finished. This is written down. And we can send them to 8 billion different places online to read this stuff, but it's a lot more convenient if we can say, hey, would you like to look through our book? And by the way, if you like it, you can buy it, which is what we're going to do. So if you're going to New Hampshire Ren Fair next year, it will be available. That's my goal, is to have it finished, complete, printed, and in my hot little hands by May 9th and 10th, I think. Let me pull up my calendar here. We just got the dates for next year, so I want to give it to you so you can put it on your calendar. It is, sorry, I know I look kind of funny because sorry, my computer is slow. January, February, March, April, May. So, New Hampshire Ren Fair first weekend is Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th. And the second weekend, that's the Mother's Day weekend, by the way. And this and the Brotherhood of the Arrow and Sword. If you want to come out and see the wonderful shows, the King's Musketeers, we have it's such an amazing fair. And remember, if you're coming to the New Hampshire Ren Fair, that fair, like, so much of the money goes to charity. It goes to the Rockingham Meals on Wheels and it goes to the New Hampshire Food Bank. You're feeding your neighbors. This doesn't go out to some random person in, the middle of nowhere. This goes to our people. And I love that. That's why I volunteer at New Hampshire Ren Fair. I offer my time for free and for nothing because it's that important to me. And if you would like to work at a Ren Fair and see what it's like, first off, you get to come in free. And second off, it's not hard work. The more people we have, the less work there is. And it's a lot of fun. You get to dress up. You get to have fun with lots of people. We do a lot of playing music and sharing food. We have a Kaylee there, and I'm hoping the cookbook will be out there. So back to poetry, because I kind of got off topic there. Sorry. I'm going to sit down and write some poetry for the Poems of New Hampshire contest. I have a lot of poetry type things going through my head for reasons, and you know who you are. So I want to get that down on paper. There are things that I've experienced this summer, especially at New Hampshire Ren Fair, that really stuck with me. There was a night at New Hampshire Ren Fair when we sat and the moon was full and it came up over the trees and it lit up the entire encampment almost like broad day. It was so bright and so clear, and the stars were out and we could see the Milky Way. This stuff is living poetry, and I want to put it down on paper because I want to remember those moments. They're really important to me. And maybe that's why I want to work on poetry for the next week or so, because it makes me think of descriptions. It makes me create memories that will last. Because I go back to my poetry, even the bad stuff, and I look at it again and then I get to relive those memories. So go out and write some poetry this week. And if you have a penchant, either on Facebook or here on YouTube, share with me some of your poetry if you're willing. And, if you have something to say about New Hampshire, do it in prose, do it in rhyming couplets, do it in iambic pentameter, whatever floats your boat. So come on out, write some poetry for the Peterborough Poetry Contest. I will post the link in the comments below us, and also I will post it on my author page on Facebook. So I just want to keep this short this morning because I've got coffee to drink and I've got things to do because I just got back from an amazing weekend of camping. Do you know what I did all weekend? I drank wine and I sat on my butt. It was amazing. See, that's poetry worthy too, but it wasn't in New Hampshire. So have yourselves a great week. I hope that your Monday is as full of smiles and happy memories as mine is. And I hope that you feel inspired to go out and write poetry. The thing about poetry contests is that the more poetry they get in, the better the contest is. So please consider dropping off a piece. Pop something together. You never know. Maybe it'll be you that gets picked. I'd love to read what you have to do and share with me. And please remember, if you would like to, I think it's down here. This is the subscribe button should show up in seconds if it's not already there. Have a great week, guys, and I love you. Bye.